Now, we all thought that racism was solved by Cricket Australia last year, when our cricketers decided that they were going to get in a square at the start of each and every Test series and take off their shoes. But alas, apparently this is not enough to defeat the scourge of racism. So Cricket Australia, who is pretending to have the national teams of both men's and women's sport, have decided to no longer refer to cricket games played on January the 26th as Australia Day games. Why? Well done to the Prime Minister for pushing back.
Well, it's not cricket. That would be my reaction. Look, I think Australian cricket fans would like to see Cricket Australia focus a lot more on cricket and a lot less on politics. On Australia Day, it's all about acknowledging how far we've come.
Here we go again, where if you want to defend the idea of being proud of the nation that we live in this, the 21st century, then somehow you are the bigot. If you are the person who believes that the story of our nation is one that, yes, started tens of thousands of years ago, took one hell of a change in 1770, then again in 1788, again in 1901, then somehow you're the problem. Now, you know, when it comes to national days, that I'm a great believer in the Noel Pearson model, which is on the 25th, you have a commemoration, a celebration, a acknowledgement, whatever it wishes to be, of an Australia before 1788. And then on the 26th, there's a celebration of the modern Australia that we live in now. The modern Australia that pays people hundreds of thousands of dollars to throw or kick a football. The modern Australia that pays people hundreds of thousands of dollars to sit on television and bemoan how shit house Australia is, in part because of the fact that we have things like Australia Day. Now, you know and I know that there is no option on the table that is going to suggest somehow we're going to be able to turn the landscape back to 1788. And nobody really wants that. So how do we find a path forward? Let's talk about finding the path forward as opposed to the easy stuff. But the easy stuff is, alas, what is, frankly, something many people want to do because they get like a dopamine hit as if they've won a jackpot on a poker machine. I changed Australia for the better because Australia Day? Now, over at Taxpayer Television, Radio and the Internet, they have decided to up it as well. First it was Triple J who decided to move the Hottest 100, who cares, radio station. But now, the national broadcaster that you pay for, whether you watch it, read it or listen to it or not, has decided that, well, Australia Day, gone, click, see you later. Why? Well, no, instead we're now going to promote the Australia Day / Invasion Day events that are around. Today, the bosses over there at Channel 2 have defended their decision to include Invasion Day and basically have told their staff to move away from the awful term that is Australia Day. Now again, I repeat, you can be completely honest about the many, many failings in Australian history while understanding that without the events of 1788, we don't sit in the modernity of which we sit in today. We cannot pretend that there are not disgraceful examples of Indigenous populations who, in part because of the double standard that often is shown by the left, are living in conditions that we would frown upon in other parts of the world, let alone we have third world parts of our own country. Now, if you're somebody who thinks that the Indigenous experience is exclusively the one of abuse in places like Tennant Creek, well then you're wrong. But conversely, if you think that the Indigenous experience is only the one of the entertainment reporter on The Breakfast Show, then you don't get it either. Let's just be honest. Honest about what we got very wrong and honest about what we get very right. And honest about working out that a kid born in Tennant Creek today should have a chance of becoming the Prime Minister. But there's a good chance they won't become the Prime Minister because of the environment that too many people let happen. Because we focus on the easy stuff, like when we count down music, or what we call a national day. And for those who say, well, isn't there another date that would be less contentious? I'll give you the tip. The 13th of April wasn't any better for the Indigenous peoples in 1788, 89, 92, or even 1930. So the concept of a national day is what they hate, not the date. It's the idea that any culture can be celebrated as if it was some sort of white pride thing. It's not. And anyone who's an adult, who's serious, who's a true Australian understands. That's why I like the 25th and the 26th. And if that follows on a weekend, you'll get 4 full days of public holidays. That's something we can all unify around, right?